Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So we're going to talk about 3 topics today, but it all wraps up into the same kind of box. Like I mentioned before, I think people have a problem. Actually, I know for a fact that we all have a problem with women exerting themselves and knowing things about their own bodies and doing things outside of everybody else. Like, we all know that. We've all seen it. And most of us have experienced it. So we'll start off with this. This guy says, cussing a woman out after she politely says no is wild to me. Of course it'd be wild to you because you're a guy, because guys don't cuss each other out unless they feel like they can beat them up. Men have this idea they can beat all women up. Some women surprise them by not being able to beat them up. But a lot of the time, women aren't expecting men to beat them up. Despite all we see, we still trust that men will have some kind of tact, will have some kind of mindset not to hit random strangers just because they said no to you. But I digress. We're seeing that this is men's nature and this is how they want to be for the rest of their lives. And that's completely fine with us. Just stop lying to us and saying you're protectors and providers because you're anything but. So this woman says, I think they don't even legit want to holler at you. It's just an exercise they feel they must do it in the presence of a woman. Hearing that no, even politely, is another thing they feel they must do. I was on a train with index cards studying for a test. All these empty seats and this guy sits next to me trying to start a conversation. I was polite and told him I'm studying and trying to concentrate. He called me a B word and kicked my backpack. That's not even the most egregious. And then the man, OP, says, wow, can't accept rejection. This is even one of the tamer stories I've heard, to be honest with you, and nobody will understand the way women or feminine presenting people will understand. People feel entitled to your body and entitled to treat you any way they want just because they find you attractive. I mentioned it before, I've definitely mentioned it before, that I don't think these men actually always want to do these things. They just feel like they should, because it's the same kind of mindset and psychology men tell us about why they say women have more sex than men. It's just because people want to have sex with women doesn't mean women want to have sex with you or want to have sex with other people. Like, men will have sex saying, okay, if I don't have sex with this woman, even though I hate her and I'm not attracted to her, because men will have sex with absolutely anything, let alone anyone, just because they see it as a way, like, when they have sex with people, if they say no to somebody, then that means they won't have sex probably for the next year, and they probably can't wait that long. So, like, let me just have sex now because I don't know when I'm gonna have sex again. I don't know the next woman who's gonna say yes to me. And then they act as if women are forcing them to have sex with them and they can't say no to women. Yes, you can say no to women. You always say no to women. You treat women like crap, so you can say no to women. And you know you might not want to be with somebody, but they will sleep with absolutely anybody. That's why it's not a compliment when they want to sleep with you. It's not even a compliment when they compliment you. It's not a compliment when they find you attractive, like, because they find anything attractive. They'll lie and say anything's attractive. So it's ideas like this that spurn and enable boys to grow into men who can't take no for an answer, because they believe that women and girls are simply there for their viewing pleasure. And then when you find out this woman has a job, or this girl in your class has a job, even though you're just coming home and you're eating your mum's mac and cheese, right? You're just eating her casserole because you can't cook. She cooks for you like you're still 2 years old. And these girls, your classmate, your age mates, are going out and making their own money. You get jealous because everyone hands things over to boys, and they grow into men who feel entitled, and then men are giving everything just because they have a penis, and then they don't like people who remind them of that. If a woman comes out despite all the crap that men have put her through, and then she comes and succeeds despite being a woman and being deemed quote unquote inferior or more inferior than men, and she proves to them that, yeah, I can do that despite the adversity, where does that leave men? It leads them to have identity crises. That's literally how it works. Now, men, they live in a separate planet from us. We live on the same planet, but it's like they live on a separate planet from us, because this isn't a conversation we should be having this year. They know exactly what's going on. And now a comment said, man, you have no idea. I've been called all kind of things, threatened, swung at. People are absolutely nuts. Men are absolutely nuts. Stop sharing the blame with everyone else. Like, completely off the rails. I had to start carrying a weapon, and I really didn't want to do that. That's like me. I don't want to carry weapons, but you do have to find some kind of sport. Like, even if you want to get a spray, like a proper perfume as well will proper blind somebody in the minute so you can run away. And then the OP says that's wild. I just started seeing posts like that, and if she says no, it's okay, bro. That's the bare minimum though. It's not even about it being okay. These guys feel entitled to women. They feel entitled to say anything they want to us. And then This woman down here says, it's wild to us too. And OP says some people take rejection too serious. And it's not some people, it's men. Because when women feel rejected by men, we don't go around killing them. We don't go around doing all these things to them as if we're entitled to their bodies, as if we own them. And men, they like to cosplay as people who are attractive. They want us to want them as much as they want us, but it's never going to be like that. We're not as attracted to them as they're attracted to us. So therefore, it's not that deep for us. Like I said, we have these ideas of what a woman is supposed to be for men, and it just ties into the ideas that we are only limited, that we are limited to certain facets, we're limited to certain things. And that's why when a woman says, I just want to go and get a PhD, everyone's like, why would you go and do that when there's a man ready to snatch you up? Maybe I don't want to be snatched up, but that's, by the way, apparently women aren't allowed ownership of their own bodies. And that's why when you talk about it, especially with other women, they're scared and they're shaking in their boots because they know what can come from it is a realization. They don't like us having realizations about how they treat us and how they think about us. And then when we get away, like for instance, you're seeing a lot of female celebrities breaking up or separating or getting away from the guys who held them back or who we said were holding them back. And then you see these men saying, oh, you always be my baby mother. Well, you're still my baby mother. Well, you can't hold me back anymore. She was never holding you back. She is the reason why people saw you as an upstanding man. Because men know that when they get married, or at the very least when they have kids, they look responsible, or they look more responsible than other men who don't have kids. You're their meal ticket. You're their meal ticket essentially. So when you go, obviously people are gonna go where the meal ticket goes, innit? On average, women are better to look at. We're prettier, smarter, more intelligent. We are not uncouth. We are better to talk to. We are kinder. We are friendlier. People want to be around us because we have baths. We don't smell. And men on average smell more than women smell. And that's why they don't want to be around you as much as they want to be around us. And they keep crying about it. It's not our problem, so don't make it your problem. And that's why every single time they see you in public, and it will get weird because everyone's like, okay, why can't you just pass these women by without saying anything? Like, it's not that deep, is it? But they will make it that deep, as if they can't do anything. Like, they can't just walk by you. Like, they have to just say something, as if they've never seen a woman before, because women are just potential sexual partners for men, because, you know, these men aren't serious about marriage. So the next topic we're talking about is about women who have status or wealth, or who have their own jobs and make their own money. Like I was saying, people see women as only being able to have one or two roles in society. So when a woman is like, oh, wait, I want to go and have a job and make my own money so I don't have to wait for someone to buy something for me because I can afford it myself, people are like, why would you do that? It's because if women do the same thing as men, that means men can't say they're better than us. So this woman says anytime a woman talks about her status, wealth or health, why is it that men feel the need to humble her? Like, can't we be proud of our accomplishments? Of course we can talk about and be proud of our accomplishments. They just don't want us to be. And then this guy down here says, do you have an example? And somebody says, read the comment. These are the smartest, most logical people, by the way. The people we have to do research for, apparently. Like, you can literally search things in Google, but never mind. And then this lady here says, the comments proved your point. And somebody else says, they always do. A woman could just post, I exist, and there will be a block party in the comments. It's true. Because see how people aren't even really answering the questions. Because men, they just get really upset whenever women just exist. They get upset when women boast about things, or when we don't even boast about things. But they want to brag about us because they want like a woman to be there like a bangmaid, so he can show her off to his boyfriends. But if we as women show ourselves off, it's a problem. It doesn't make a lick of sense, because men are allowed to brag. Women aren't allowed to brag, but men can brag about us. It's funny because we don't have anything to brag about when it comes to them, and they're just jealous about that. I don't think I need to remind people about this, but do have your own money. Like, I have my own job, I make my own money, and I have things I do on the side as well for money. And honestly, it doesn't matter how little it is. It doesn't matter how slow the start is. As long as you're doing something that you want to do for yourself, and you are making the money and you are keeping the money for yourself. It could be for a rainy day. It could be to buy yourself some sweets. It really doesn't matter. Because the thing is, when people can control you through money, they can control you through other aspects. Because a lot of things we want and need and get require money to get them, and that is the easiest way men can oppress us in this day and age. Yoshi YKZ said, I seen some loser trying to argue with the female doctor, trying to belittle her, saying he makes just as much as her without wasting years and money on school. Nothing women do is enough or worthy of respect to these weirdos, in these weirdos' eyes. That is very true, but we have to stop caring about whether we are worthy of respect when it comes to them, because they're not respectful themselves and they don't respect themselves. So why would we need them to respect us? And then Carolina on my mind says, my sister is a doctor and her male patients always assume she's a nurse and try to order her around. It's so gross. Even if she was a nurse, they don't get to order her around. She's the one with the job taking care of you. I really don't understand psychology of trying to order around and be rude to people who are in control of your health or who need to help you with your health or who is in charge of making your food, because you honestly you underestimate the evilness of some people or the pettiness of some people. If you're rude to some people, you put bad energy out into the world. Just 9 out of 10 times you're going to get that energy back. So if I were you, I'd be kind to people, especially people who are helping you get better. You're in a hospital. And then Your Space to Heal says, stay away from men who try to humble women. We'll sincerely try, and I hope you will as well if you find out that's the kind of guy who's around you. Then Niger Labella says, I find there are some of the same men who will also ask what you bring to the table. It's so, that's exactly it. That's so true. That's very true, actually, because we underestimate the duality of men, and men like to pretend as if we're confused creatures when we're not. And they'll be like, it's not the same men who are saying that. It is the same men. It is the same men. It's always been the same men, and it will forever be the same men, because men who agree with the same terminology, they agree with the same sentiments, they're not that different from each other. They're all the same group of men. This is like, there's a hierarchy of men when it comes to misogyny. It's all misogyny and it all matters, but the thing is, there's more pressing matters when it comes to misogyny. Yeah, it's just as important, but the thing is, right, we can ignore the things these guys say, and we literally just don't have to partner with them, because the thing is, but I've mentioned it before about men, they can't stay quiet for long. The thing is, when they are proud of something, even if that thing is sneaky, they will make sure it comes out. They will make sure it spills out of their mouth. They can't keep secrets. They're the biggest gossips in the planet. That's how they've made it seem that women are emotional and men are logical. That's the biggest scam they've gotten away with, just trying to accuse women of being hyper emotional, even though being emotional is something that's part of being a human being. If they're not human beings, that's their business. So I'm gonna post the TikTok that was the sound was taken away yesterday. So that's gonna come after this screenshot. So have fun listening to it. And it's a very interesting, like, important conversation to have anyway, because we underestimate how little we know about our own bodies, especially as cisgender straight women, even when it comes to orgasms, when it comes to reproductive health and birth control. And if you're coming from TikTok, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel just in case anything happens to my page. So thank you guys, and have a great day, the rest of your weekend, depending on where you are. And you can comment down any myths that you can also dispel or you want dispelled as well. Thank you. In response to a woman saying that women can orgasm back to back, a man has said that our genetics are faulty and our bodies are faulty. That's why we respond better to silicone. And another man said that how do you expect a human being to outpace a car? So men are telling us that they can't compete with sexual toys, and it's not because they can't, it's because they don't want to. In fact, a lot of them get offended when you have sexual toys or you can please yourself. But what I want to talk about is dispelling some myths about reproduction and pleasure and things to do with women, because we need to stop saying that women can have orgasms back to back, because that's not exactly true. Just know this now, read this and read all the screenshots I'm going to post, because the thing is, everyone has a refractory period. Just because there are some people who can get aroused again after like 5 minutes doesn't mean that women can have back-to-back orgasms. This is the same mentality that excuses men using women's bodies to masturbate into. So if a woman is not up for sex at any time of the evening or the day, men are like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with your body? Because you're supposed to be there to make me aroused and get rid of this sperm that's building up inside of my penis. It's not healthy, and it's very dangerous rhetoric to have, because you will not always get aroused. Once you've had an orgasm, you're not always going to be able to be aroused very soon afterwards. Because if that's true, why aren't women doing it? And why isn't this happening to women? Because women don't need men to have pleasure or have an orgasm. It's also education. Women aren't being taught about their bodies. Girls aren't being taught about their bodies. Because we all know that boys, when they are taught had the puberty talk, they're all taught that it's a wonderful time for them and they're allowed to look at everything as sexual stimuli. But women and girls can't even do anything about their own body. but the boys in their classes are supposed to be allowed to look at their bodies for sexual stimuli. That's not how this is going to work. And we need to get rid of the idea that you're always going to be aroused, because if that's true, how come you don't feel aroused? It's not just because you're probably asexual. I once had a guy tell me that, women can have orgasms back to back, like with no rest period. And this is the same demographic. Then once they've orgasmed, it's like just pulled through from the plague or something. Just so weak all around. So I also asked the internet, are women able to get pregnant all the time? Because I'm actually quite shocked at the amount of women who don't actually know. Like, I'm talking grown women who have probably had kids too, who don't know that they're not always fertile. So it's usually 2 weeks leading up to your period. That's when you're least fertile and least likely to get pregnant. And it's very highly unlikely, because anything is possible. Let's just say that anything's possible, but it's highly unlikely you're going to get pregnant 2 weeks leading up to your period. But if you're like me and your period is like sporadic, it's like erratic, and it's like all over the place, you won't always know. That's why birth control is pushed towards us. But birth control should also be made available to men, obviously, even though they're rejecting it, because men are fertile all year round. And that's where the myth that the myth that men can have kids way into their 90s comes from. It's not true. Just because they're always fertile up until a certain point and their sperm quality depletes at like 30 years old doesn't mean that men can be having kids into their 90s. They probably can get somebody pregnant in their 90s, but should they? No, that's very and highly irresponsible. So I also asked, do men's sperm deplete with age? Like, do they become less fertile as they get older? And the answer is yeah. It's funny how the internet, which men have created more or less, and they put most of the articles on there and done most of these studies, won't even look at these things, and they'll still be parroting lies about women's bodies and their bodies too. This is the thing. Men don't go around assaulting people because they want to get people pregnant. Pregnancy is just their sick way of showing that they did have sex with you or did force themselves upon you. They don't care about pregnancy. They don't care about kids. They just use being against abortion rights just to paint themselves as some kind of moral person when they're really not. For everyone over the age of at least 30 to 35, it takes longer and it's harder for you to get pregnant. Doesn't mean you should be having kids in your 20s, doesn't mean you should be having kids in your teens. And I'm talking to everybody, because the thing is, we always somehow end up blaming women and girls for the rates of birth and for pregnancy and birth control and conception and reproduction. If that's true, then it makes sense that women are the ones fighting for reproductive rights. And it makes zero sense with these men who don't want to take accountability for their own kids to be vehemently against women wanting reproductive rights. It only makes sense if we're the ones responsible for it or being made to be responsible for it. We should be the ones making decisions over it. You ask men at random things or facts about women's bodies, they won't be able to tell you. They don't even know where the clitoris is or the difference between the labia and the vulva. And what's shocking is that there's quite a few girls and women who don't know that either. But obviously that's to be expected. Men are so interested and boys are so interested in your vagina, in your vulva, yet they can't tell the difference. They're not interested when you're talking about a period. They're like, ew, gross, I'm eating. And it's like, you're literally a failed period. You look at these men, they're failed periods. Your mum was wishing that she got her period, but instead she found out she was pregnant with you. Suck it up and do some research. I also search whether men are more visual than women, because the thing is, when women are assaulted and objectified and sexualized and harassed by men, we are like, oh, why are you guys always doing this? When we tell you time and time again that we don't like the way you're treating us just because you can see us. And men will be like, we're visual creatures. Men are visual creatures. So are women. We can see how ugly you are, but you're not doing anything about that. If you're a woman, wear what you want, do what you want, do what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, they will sexualize you. They will undress you with their mind anyway. I'm not making it up. They've said it. And the studies have been done. And guess who the studies have been done by? It's men. They have concluded that men and women do not differ in sexual stimuli. They do not differ in visual sexual stimuli either. It literally doesn't matter. So if we are gathering that all these lies have been told about the female body and the male body and whatnot, so that means these men know what they're doing. And therefore that means it's a choice they're making. And that means they're making the choice not to do some things, like respect you, for instance. So why do we keep making excuses for them? These answers are right at your fingertips. Please use the internet, utilize it. I know the internet has been used as a tool to further harm and oppress women, but you can also use this to your benefit when you have access to the internet. There are women all over the world who don't have access to the internet. So you, as a woman or somebody who has access to the internet, research your own body, because there's some things you'll be pleasantly surprised to find out. So in these studies, it says women and men reported similar levels of desire when exposed to sensual stimuli. The thing is, exactly, it's true. But often in the studies done before, and when we have these discussions online, men are like, oh well, women don't like the kind of corn that I like. And it's like, okay, first of all, corn, yeah, it shouldn't, but that's another discussion. But the thing is, no woman really wants to sit there and watch a woman be brutalized by a man. That shouldn't be shocking to hear. That shouldn't be a shocking thing to say. It's just the truth. Men wouldn't like to watch a video of men being brutalized by men. They wouldn't like that. And that's where these sick ideas about gay people come from, that they're more violent than straight people, especially straight cisgendered men. Which is a lie, because straight cisgender men, that's what they literally bond with each other about. They always brag about being the most violent demographic, and that they can make everyone succumb to their prowess because everyone's scared of them. If people are scared of you and you're proud of that, I don't know what else to say about you. So I also searched up whether men can control their sexual urges and arousal. And the answer is, you guessed it, yes, they very much can. So if they can, what does that mean for the rest of us? That means they've been choosing not to. The thing is, as a human being, there's going to come a time in your life where you have to stop blaming the people who raised you and the people who are around you for the way you are and navigate the world. Because you're going to say that you were bullied so much that you have to make everyone else's life a misery, as opposed to the other people who were bullied to the same degree and sometimes more than you, and they're not doing the same things that you're doing, and they're choosing to be a better person and choosing to put light into the world and positivity to themselves. You can be selfish. I've mentioned this before. As a human being, you're allowed to be selfish with what is good for you. So I have no idea why you need to turn around and be the bully that bullied you. And there's advice for men to do breathing exercises, go to the gym and whatnot, stretching, walking, distraction, mind control. And it's like, why are you guys so mentally weak? Why are cisgender straight men so mentally weak that you have to have mind control by like distracting yourself? This is what they tell primary school children when they want to hit their classmate for stealing their pencil with their favorite rubber on it. They say, go and take a walk, breathe. You are 40. Why are you acting like this? So this study done by the University of British Columbia finds that most men can regulate their physical and mental sexual arousal to some degree. The men most able to do so are able to control their other emotions as well. Now, I've said it before, and you are probably like this too. You've talked to women who are in relationships with men who don't hurt them. So why is it that the world is trying to paint this idea that women must accept bad behavior and settle for lackluster behavior simply because those men are few and far between? They're not few and far between. You just need to seek out and find those men and stay with those men who have proven to you that they are the kind of men that will call out this nasty behavior in other men. You are allowed to find pleasure as a woman. You are allowed to find pleasure as anybody outside of being a cisgendered straight man. Everything is geared towards them, and that's why you need to take this responsibility into your own hands to fully flesh yourself out as a human being just like them. The excuses they make for each other, start making for yourselves and for other people just like you as well. They're not the only ones with the community.